Tonight, federal agents execute the largest seizure in modern history, 300 billion barrels. No one saw this coming.
This is not a raid. This is the largest energy seizure in modern history. And you are about to see how close we came to losing control of the Western Hemisphere's oil supply forever. January 7th, 2026, 4:17 a.m., Caracas, Venezuela. The PDVSA headquarters, a fortress of glass and steel rising 32 stories above the city, sits in complete darkness. No security lights, no patrol vehicle, just silence. The kind of silence that comes right before everything explodes. 303 billion barrels. That is not a typo. 303 billion barrels of proven oil reserves, the largest on planet Earth. More than Saudi Arabia, more than Russia, more than the entire Middle East combined. And for the last 2 decades, it has been controlled by one man, President Nicolas Maduro, a dictator, a cartel collaborator. And according to the encrypted files the FBI Cyber Division cracked 72 hours ago, the silent partner of the most dangerous narco-state alliance ever built on this side of the Atlantic. But tonight, that ends. At 4:18 a.m., 6 Black Hawk helicopters cut through the fog over Caracas like shadows with rotors. No running lights, no radio chatter, pure stealth insertion. Inside those birds are operators you will never see in the news. Delta Force, Navy SEAL Team 6, FBI Hostage Rescue Team, DEA Special Response Team. This is not a law enforcement action. This is a surgical military strike on a sovereign nation's energy infrastructure. And it is happening right now. The lead helicopter drops fast over the PDVSA rooftop. Ropes deploy. 12 operators in black tactical gear fast rope onto the landing pad in under 8 seconds. Suppressed rifles up, laser sights sweeping. They move like water, fluid, silent, lethal. The rooftop access door is breached with a shaped charge so precise it does not even wake the pigeons on the adjacent building. Flashbang, smoke, entry, 4:19 a.m. The team split. Alpha moves down the executive floors. Bravo hits the data center in the sub-basement. Charlie secures the ground floor lobby and cuts all external communications. The entire 32-story building is locked down in under 90 seconds. No alarms, no gunfire, just the sound of boots on marble and the hiss of suppressed weapons covering every angle. Inside the executive suite on the 28th floor, they find him. Not Maduro. He is already in U.S. custody. Extracted 3 days earlier in a separate black operation you were never supposed to know about. No, tonight they are after someone worse. His name is Fabricio Navarro. Fictional, but his crimes are real enough. Chief Executive Officer of PDVSA. On paper, he is an oil executive. In reality, he is the logistics mastermind behind a shadow network that has been moving more than just crude oil through Venezuelan pipeline. Cocaine, heroin, fentanyl precursors, methamphetamine base, all of it flowing north through cartel corridors into the United States, hidden inside oil tankers, disguised as petroleum shipments, routed through shell refineries in the Caribbean. And Navarro did not just allow it, he engineered it. He turned the entire Venezuelan state oil company into the world's largest narcotics smuggling operation. The FBI tactical team finds Navarro in his private office, sitting behind a mahogany desk the size of a small car, wearing a silk robe, sipping scotch like he has been waiting for them. He smiles. He does not run. He does not reach for a weapon. He just points at the wall behind him. And that is when the agents see it. A digital map, floor to ceiling, glowing in red and gold. Hundreds of routes, pipelines, shipping lanes, refinery nodes, cartel distribution hubs, every single one of them connected back to PDVSA. And at the center of it all, one code name pulsing like a heartbeat, Operation Oil Fortress. Navarro leans back in his chair and says something in Spanish that makes the translator freeze. The agent in charge asks him to repeat it. Navarro switches to perfect English. He says, "You think you came here to seize oil? You came here because we let you. This was always the plan." 4:41 a.m. FBI cyber forensics agents are already inside the PDVSA data center 3 floors below ground. Server farms the size of shipping containers, encrypted hard drives stacked in climate-controlled vaults, communication logs dating back 12 years. And the moment they crack the first firewall, the scope of what they are looking at hits them like a freight train. This is not just about Venezuela. This is continental. The lead analyst, a woman named Agent Rebecca Ortiz, fictional name, real skill set, pulls up a master ledger on her laptop. Her hands are shaking. She has been with the FBI for 19 years. She has seen cartel networks. She has tracked terrorist financing. She has dismantled money laundering empires, but she has never seen anything like this. 318 shell companies spread across 47 countries, registered in tax havens like the Cayman Islands, Panama, Luxembourg, Cyprus, and the British Virgin Islands. Every single one of them tied back to PDVSA, and every single one of them funneling cash into one place, the Maduro regime. but also, and this is where it gets worse, into the bank accounts of 7 U.S. governors, 12 mayors, 43 state legislators, and over 200 law enforcement officials across California, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and Florida. Agent Ortiz scrolls through the files. She sees dates, amounts, wire transfers, encrypted communications, and then she sees the names. Real American officials, paid in cryptocurrency, paid in gold bars, shipped through diplomatic pouches, paid in offshore real estate. All of it in exchange for one thing: turning a blind eye to the oil tankers coming north. The tankers that were not just carrying crude, they were carrying death. One file stands out: Project Solaris, a joint operation between PDVSA, the Sinaloa Cartel, and a faction inside the Colombian FARC remnants. The goal? Turn Venezuela into the heroin and cocaine refinery capital of the Western Hemisphere. Use the oil infrastructure as cover. Use the shipping routes as highways. Use the corruption network to keep it invisible. And it worked. For over a decade, it worked. Agent Ortiz hits print, 47 pages of evidence. She walks them upstairs to the command post. She drops them on the table in front of the FBI deputy director on site. She does not say a word. She does not have to. The deputy director reads the first page, then the second. Then he picks up the satellite phone and makes one call. To Washington, to the National Security Council, and he says 3 words: activate Phase 2, 6:12 a.m. The sun is barely up over the Caribbean, but the operation is already expanding like wildfire. At U.S. Southern Command Headquarters in Doral, Florida, a digital operations map lights up with over 300 red target markers stretching from Caracas to Los Angeles. Every single one of them is a node in the oil fortress network. Cartel safe houses, refinery fronts, shipping brokers, corrupt port officials, shadow logistics firms. And the federal response is unprecedented. 1,200 agents, FBI, DEA, ICE, ATF, Homeland Security investigations, U.S. Marshals, coordinated across 6 countries: the United States, Colombia, Panama, Mexico, Trinidad, and Aruba. Black Hawk helicopters lift off from forward operating bases. SWAT teams roll out in armored convoy. Naval destroyers position themselves off the Venezuelan coast to intercept any tankers trying to flee. And overhead, silent and invisible, B-52 bombers circle at 40,000 feet, not to strike, but to send a message. The United States owns the sky, and now it owns the oil. 6:23 a.m., Los Angeles, California. FBI and DEA tactical units hit a nondescript warehouse in the port of Los Angeles. It is registered as a petroleum storage facility. It is owned by a shell company called Petro Global Logistics, and according to the files seized in Caracas, it is the primary distribution hub for Venezuelan cartel cocaine on the West Coast. The breach is fast. Flashbang, door ram. Agents flood in. Inside, they find it: rows of steel barrels marked as crude oil samples. But when the agents crack them open, there is no oil. There is white powder, bricks of it, stacked floor to ceiling, 2.3 tons of pure cocaine. Street value, $140 million, hidden in plain sight, shipped through the Port of Los Angeles under falsified customs document, signed off by a fictional Port Authority director named Marcus Delgado, who was arrested 6 minutes later in his Beverly Hills home, still in his pajamas, with $3 million in cash stuffed inside his walls. But that is just the beginning. Simultaneously, teams hit San Diego, Phoenix, El Paso, Houston, Miami, each location the same: warehouses, storage depots, shipping containers, all of them filled with narcotics disguised as oil industry supplies. Fentanyl pills hidden in lubricant drums, methamphetamine powder packed inside pipeline insulation foam, heroin bricks vacuum sealed and submerged in crude oil transport tanks. It is not smuggling, it is industrial scale trafficking, and the numbers are devastating. By 8 a.m. the DEA has seized over 12 tons of cocaine, 4 tons of methamphetamine, 800 kilograms of heroin, and 2.1 million fentanyl pills. Enough fentanyl to kill half the population of California, twice. But the worst discovery comes in El Paso, Texas, at a logistics hub registered to a company called Borderline Energy Solutions. Agents breach the facility expecting drugs. What they find instead are people, 73 migrants, men, women, children, locked inside repurposed oil tanker compartment. No ventilation, no water, no light. Human trafficking disguised as energy logistics. Border Patrol medics rush in. 5 of the migrants are already dead, suffocated. The others are barely alive. The FBI agent in charge of the scene, a man named Agent Carlos Mendoza, fictional name, Real Raid, stands outside the warehouse and radios back to command. His voice cracks when he says, "They were not smuggling oil. They were smuggling everything, and they used our own infrastructure to do it." 9:37 a.m. Back in Caracas, inside the PDVSA headquarters, forensic accountants are pulling apart the financial web. And what they find is a system so deeply embedded into the global economy that dismantling it will take years. PDVSA was not just selling oil, it was laundering cartel money on a scale that makes Pablo Escobar look like a street deal. Here is how it worked. The Sinaloa Cartel and CJNG, two of the most violent drug cartels in Mexico, would produce cocaine and methamphetamine in cartel superlabs in the mountains of Sinaloa and Jalisco. They would ship it south to Colombia. From Colombia, it would go to Venezuela, and once it entered Venezuela, it disappeared into the PDVSA system. The cocaine would be packed inside crude oil shipments. The methamphetamine would be dissolved into petroleum solvents. The fentanyl precursors would be labeled as refinery chemical, and then the shipments would sail north to the United States, to Europe, to Asia, under the protection of diplomatic immunity, international oil trade agreements, and corrupt port inspectors. But the money flow was even more brilliant. PDVSA would invoice the drug cartels through fake refinery contracts. The cartels would pay in cryptocurrency. PDVSA would convert the crypto into gold. The gold would be shipped to Switzerland, and from Switzerland it would re-enter the global banking system as clean oil revenue. Billions of dollars every single month, laundered through one of the most respected state oil companies on earth. And the man who designed it? Fabricio Navarro. The same man sitting in FBI custody right now, still smiling, still calm, because he knows something the agents do not. He knows that even with PDVSA seized, even with Maduro arrested, the network is too big to kill. It has roots in every continent, in every port, in every pipeline, and most terrifyingly, in every government. 10:51 a.m. The FBI raids the home of a fictional California state governor named Governor Alan Richter. He is not home. He is in Sacramento, in his office, about to hold a press conference on environmental policy. But federal agents do not wait for permission. They execute a search warrant, and inside his Malibu estate, in a locked study behind a false bookshelf, they find it. 3 encrypted laptops, 12 external hard drives, and a handwritten ledger detailing every payment he received from PDVSA over the last 8 years, $15 million, in exchange for executive orders that relaxed port inspections, environmental waivers that allowed Venezuelan tankers to dock without EPA review, and budget cuts that defunded the DEA's coastal interdiction units. Governor Richter is arrested on live television. The footage goes viral within minutes. A sitting U.S. governor, handcuffed, perp walked out of his own office by federal agents. The charges? Racketeering, conspiracy to distribute narcotics, money laundering, treason. But he is not alone. Over the next 6 hours, the FBI arrests 4 more governors across Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and Florida. All fictional names, all real crimes. Mayors fall, police chiefs are dragged out of their homes, Border Patrol supervisors, county judges, state legislators. The arrests do not stop, because the corruption did not stop at the border. It lived inside the system, inside the badge, inside the office, inside the vote. And that is the nightmare, when the criminals do not break into the system, when they become the system. 1:14 p.m. The DEA's Special Operations Division convenes an emergency briefing at their headquarters in Arlington, Virginia. On the screen is a map that looks like a spider web. Every thread represents a drug route. Every node represents a cartel operative. And at the center of the web is PDVSA. But the web does not end at Venezuela's borders. It stretches into Colombia, where cocaine labs are powered by Venezuelan diesel. Into Mexico, where fentanyl labs use Venezuelan chemical precursors. Into Central America, where migrant smuggling routes are funded by Venezuelan oil money. And into the United States, where every major port city from San Diego to Miami has been compromised by oil fortress operatives. The DEA administrator, a woman named Director Lisa Hartman, fictional but fierce, stands at the front of the room and delivers the line that will define this operation. She says, "We did not just seize oil today. We seized the blueprint for the narco-state of the future. And if we had waited one more year, we would have lost this war." Because that is what Oil Fortress was. It was not a smuggling ring. It was a hostile takeover of ports, of pipelines, of politicians, of power, and it was designed to be permanent. The files show plans to expand the network into Canada, into Europe, into Africa, and to turn Venezuela into the untouchable hub of a global narcotics empire, protected by oil money, legitimized by state power, and shielded by corruption so deep that no one would ever be able to touch it. They did touch it, and they are burning it to the ground. 2:43 p.m. U.S. Navy warships seize 4 Venezuelan oil tankers in international waters off the coast of Aruba. Each tanker is carrying crude oil, but each tanker is also carrying hidden compartments. Inside those compartments, agents find over 3 tons of cocaine. 200 kilograms of heroin, and $16 million in shrink-wrapped cash. The tankers are rerouted to a U.S. naval base, the crews are arrested, and the crude oil? It is offloaded and transferred to U.S. strategic reserves. 303 billion barrels, now under American control. And that is the message being sent to every cartel, every dictator, every corrupt official who thought they could hide behind oil. You cannot. 4:17 p.m. Exactly 12 hours after the first breach, FBI director stands in front of a podium in Washington, D.C. and reads a statement that will be studied in law schools and military academies for decades. He says, "Today, the United States executed the largest coordinated counter-narcotics and anti-corruption operation in history. We have seized over 300 billion barrels of oil. We have arrested over 470 individuals. We have dismantled a narco-state alliance that threatened the sovereignty of the Western Hemisphere. And we have sent a message. There is no fortress we cannot breach. There is no empire we cannot dismantle. And there is no amount of oil that will shield you from justice." The camera flashes are blinding. The questions come like bullets. But the FBI director does not take any of them. He walks off the stage because he knows the hardest work is just beginning. Rebuilding the ports, vetting every cop, auditing every politician, restoring trust in a system that was betrayed from the inside. But here's the thing you need to understand, the thing they will not say on the news, the thing that keeps federal agents awake at night. Oil Fortress was not destroyed because the FBI was smarter. It was destroyed because someone on the inside turned. Someone in Navarro's inner circle gave up the encryption keys. Someone decided that even cartels have limits. And that limit was reached when they started trafficking children inside oil tankers. That is the line. That is the moment the system said enough. So what happens next? The trials will take years. The money will never be fully recovered. The corruption will leave scars that generations will feel. But the 303 billion barrels? They are secure, under U.S. control, and the message is clear. The age of the narco-state is over. Not because cartels are gone, but because the world is finally willing to fight back. If you are still watching this, if you made it this far, then you understand. This is not just a story about oil or drugs or corruption. This is a story about power, about what happens when the people who are supposed to protect you decide to sell you instead, and about what happens when someone finally says no. Tap the like button if you want more people to see this. Comment "Fortress Broken" if you believe corruption should be dragged into the light. Share this video if you think the truth matters more than the headline. And remember, this story is fictional, but the threat is real because somewhere, right now, another network is being built, another official is being bought, another pipeline is being turned into a highway for death. The question is not whether it will happen again. The question is whether we will be ready when it does. This is Operation Oil Fortress, the largest energy seizure in history, the most dangerous cartel alliance ever exposed, and the beginning of the end for the narco-states that thought they could hide behind oil. The fortress has fallen, but the war is not over.